whatever the new wheel's gonna be for me, woohoo, it's gonna have to be this fun, man. For real. All right, guys, another day. It's raining. Oh man. It's not that bad, but it is raining.
So in this video, I just want to talk about a few things. The first is a reminder on battery performance in the cold, what I'm basically looking for in a new wheel, steps I've taken to help heal my knee injury, and how the MSP is my baseline for deciding on a new wheel. Let's start with the battery.
Batteries don't do so hot when it's cold. If you live in a colder climate, you may have noticed this in the form of your car refusing to start on a chilly morning, or your battery level plummeting on your phone while you stand on the train platform in the freezing cold. But it's not the battery's fault exactly. It's not the technology that works worse in the cold, it's chemistry, and that's a much harder problem to fix. Batteries aren't just big buckets of negatively charged electrons, even though that's what moves through the wire when you plug a battery into something. The electrons start as part of neutral atoms or molecules, and they're released by a chemical reaction inside the battery. As the result of that reaction, electrons move through a wire and meet up with positively charged molecules on the other side of the battery. That movement creates a current that powers your stuff. The exact chemistry depends on the type of battery, but that's the general idea for all of them. And it's also where temperature comes in. Temperature is a measure of heat, and at a molecular level, heat is movement. It's particles jiggling around. Higher temperatures mean more molecular movement and more molecules bumping into each other, which makes chemical reactions more likely. So in general, when the temperature drops, chemical reactions slow down. But how much depends on what's reacting, which helps explain why you might notice some batteries suffering more than others in winter. Not all batteries are made from the same stuff. Traditional alkaline batteries, for instance, like many non-rechargeable AA's and AAA's and the like, contain a solution of water and potassium hydroxide. That watery solution can freeze at really low temperatures, but it starts losing its chemical punch well before it actually turns to ice. So don't try to use your TV remote outdoors in a blizzard. That's our advice for you. Then there are lithium-ion batteries like the one in your phone. They tend to beat alkalines in cold weather, but even they have their limits, something that's been holding back electric cars in areas that get really cold. A phone battery's cold weather performance actually tricks the phone into thinking it's dead. The difference between a charged cold battery and a dead battery is that the charged battery still has the capacity to produce enough electrons to theoretically power your phone. But because the temperature slows down those reactions, the electrons are released too gradually to do any good. Your phone doesn't have a thermometer, meaning it doesn't know how cold it is, so it just assumes there's nothing left in the battery to react, which is what happens when the battery is dead. So the phone tells you the battery is low when really it's just cold. Warm the battery up so that more reactions can happen again, and the phone will realize it still has more juice. One other very common battery is the lead-acid battery, widely used in cars. And cold slows that reaction too, and it also makes oil and other components of the engine harder to move. So that's double trouble for you, making some cars particularly hard to start on cold mornings. So be nice to your batteries this winter. If your phone dies on you, just hold it against your body like a little baby duck. Thank you for watching this episode of SciShow, and thank you to our patrons for making it and everything we do possible.
Alright, so I thought this was an important video. I tried to find one specifically about lithium-ion batteries, but I could not in time for making this video. So this encompasses pretty much everything you might have, like your car, your phone, and obviously our EUCs when they mentioned electric cars. That's the closest we can come. So in this ride, I didn't really go hard because it was cold, lower 50s. It wasn't too windy. It was a little bit drizzly. And this is only an 1800 watt-hour battery. It's the, I believe it's the 21700 cells. So one thing with this MSP is it's a beautiful, small wheel, highly compact. I love pushing it hard in temperatures above 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything below that, I tend to take it easy, you know what I mean? Because I literally rode about maybe a total mile of maybe 16 miles, probably from my house to Quincy, about 5 miles, I think, and I took a different path on the way back. So maybe it's a little less than 16. I didn't check my app, but the point is, if I had done too much hard acceleration, braking, etc., then I know it was going to be, you know, a lackluster ride on the way back. So what I typically try to do is just, you know, enjoy my ride going. Like on this bridge right here, I knew that I was going to encounter some cars that would obviously be going above 40 miles an hour. My wheel does 48, so, but the thing is, I am wary usually when when I get on paths like that in cold weather, because even though I know my wheel can do 48, I'm not so happy or eager to try it in cold temperatures. You know what I mean? Battery sag and the high possibility of the wheel dipping forward, which I'm not looking forward to in cold temperature. I'm mostly concerned about the temperature and the wind, and obviously because it's raining, slippery ground. But I just changed the tire, so that wasn't much of a concern to me. But once again, this is winter for some of us. I know in New England, New York, this side of the world, it's wintry. Probably places in Europe, a lot more cold. And a lot of you guys have bigger battery capacity wheels, but for those who have wheels like mine and really tend to enjoy it, just know that, you know, you got to treat your battery nice. I wonder if it would be beneficial for us to have some type of internal heater for the battery, but then again, that's not something I want to experiment with. Especially with how my experiments have been going lately. But anyway, this is just a beautiful video. It's just a simple ride. I had some errands to do. This was one of them, and I decided to take the wheel instead of
Let's invoke a little bit of Sam Pacquiao, or Pachi, what is his name again? Woo! Ah! Oh my gosh. I think my pain came back. Oh, that little jump affected my knee. Damn it. Oh, shit. I'm not completely healed. I knew that, but I gotta relax that. See, it's the back of my knee. It's not the actual knee. It's the back. So when it's like flexed too much, like I just did that jump, it invokes the pain again. Oh gosh. Woo! That was crazy. Anyway, it's subsiding now. Wow. I almost thought I would have to ride back on one leg.
Alright, so for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about regarding the knee injury, just look at my previous video. I will put a snapshot of it right here. So basically, I just did some meniscus tear treatment search on Google, and I just wanted to find out what's going on, and it said conservative treatment such as rest, ice, medication. So that's called RIM, R-I-M, and that's exactly what I did. Basically, this is the meniscus, common causes of meniscus tear, acute knee injury. The moment I saw that, I knew exactly that was me, because it wasn't a frontal thing, it was more of like a side thing. And I think while the wheel was going left and right, woo, 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 I tried to fight it too much while it was on the sand. And while I was falling, I believe I was twisting my knee, and I fell right on the side of the knee on concrete. And this is your meniscus right here. It's pretty much in your knee, and it's like a cushion. So it acts like a suspension for your knee in case you drop real hard or encounter any type of immediate impact. This cushiony thing right here helps with your absorption of that force. But sometimes what happens is you twist, or you move in a way that you don't expect, or that the body does not love, and it happens to tear it up. There you go. You have a radial tear, horizontal tear, flop tear, complex tear, all these weird things. So basically, this is the meniscus, and you have a little rupture in here, a little rupture here, etc., etc. Mine was not severe at all, but for a week it was very painful, in the sense that, you know, when I went to bed, well, first of all, I'd be walking around and this thing would feel great, but then I'll get to bed and wake up in the morning and I feel this crazy like pressure, and I really can't stretch my knee. And I was hoping that I didn't hurt anything too bad. So what I did was I did exactly what this suggests, which is RIM, rest, ice, medication. I rested, I did medication, and I bought this thing on Amazon, which I will put the link in the description if you want to purchase that. And I ended up getting that. So it helped a lot, but not 100%, but enough to get me back riding and walking normally. So if you encounter something like that, definitely get treatment. And if you think it's very severe, then obviously go to the emergency room and get that sorted out. So now I was just riding and I happened to jump, and that pain I felt, it was a sharp pain while I was coming back up from my crouched position, and I felt this pain once again, and it was kind of scary because I'm like, wait a minute, did I re-hurt myself? Because that would be the worst thing. So that didn't happen. I feel great. So yeah, take care of yourself. Keep riding, because the less you ride, and you encounter all kinds of things that you normally would if you had been riding normally, and then you suddenly experience it after not riding normally or occasionally, and then your body says, nope, I don't want that, and stuff like this happens. So I've been riding a lot recently. Well, when I say a lot for my situation, having children and stuff like that, and work and everything. So I pretty much try to ride at night. I try to ride during the day whenever I have a free time, or at least do workouts at home, boxing workouts, just leg workouts, etc. Just to keep your body in motion, because a body in motion stays in motion. A body not in motion is likely to get a meniscus tear.
That's why the type of shoe is very important, guys. Let's get out of here. Yeah.
So what am I looking for in a new wheel? Number one, portability. It doesn't have to be the same size as my MSP, but I have to be able to manhandle it without too much effort. This is important because I ride it a lot in traffic, and portability is on the top of my list where that is concerned. So portability should encompass everything, such as the overall dimensions of the wheel, including its weight. Number two, battery capacity. Battery is very important because while I love the MSP, it lacks the range for the type of riding I love to do. Now I have an EXN, which is down at the moment, and I absolutely love it. And while its 2700 watt-hour battery pack is far superior to that of the MSP's 1800 watt-hours, a little over 3000 watt-hours would do me very good. Now, obviously that's going to add more weight, but with the right dimensions and overall performance of the wheel, I'm definitely willing to compromise. Number three, battery discharge rate. Now, as many of you know, the Master is probably the best performance wheel out right now, and comes in two configurations where battery is concerned. There is the high range Samsung 50E cells, 10 amp output with 2400 watt hour capacity. Then there's the high power Samsung 40T cells with 35 amp output with 1920 watt hour capacity. Now the first one, the Samsung 50E cell, sounds great, but that's too much compromise for me to make where performance is concerned. I weigh around 197 pounds and I'm working really hard to get it down to around 185 pounds at least. But even at that weight, 10 amp output is way too low, I believe, based on what I've seen from other riders pushing the wheel hard. Now, the Samsung 40T cells with the 34 amp output is by far the better choice, but with even more compromise, having only 1920 watt hour capacity. I would only be able to push this wheel maybe up to 10 miles or more, then I'd have to probably Uber it home or something. Not very attractive. But I think the 40T cells is perfect for racing on the track where you can recharge between races.
Whatever the new wheel is gonna be for me, woohoo! It's gonna have to be this fun, man. For real.
So while the Master looks tempting, it just doesn't fit the bill right now. Also, As I've mentioned before, the no shell and very weak battery casing with the foam top makes me cringe a bit in case of hard falls. The MSB has fallen several times and I'm only rewarded with mere scratches. So my wheel choices at the moment ranges between the Sherman S, the EX30, the Master, yes, the Master, and the Commander Pro, all of which appear to have the fun factor and portability factor. This was just a quick delve into what I'm thinking regarding these new wheels. So if you're a hard rider like myself, please let me know what you've purchased and or planning to purchase in the comments below. I'm sure that's gonna help me a lot make a better decision. So guys, thanks for watching and happy riding.
And don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not saying this wheel is the ultimate wheel, and it's definitely not a long-range wheel if you plan on riding as hard as I do. You know what I'm saying? For me, it's not. I already killed the battery. It's low voltage already, low battery, so. Plus it's cold out here, so I expect that, but the thing is, my EXN, I would have been able to push that a lot more. No big deal, you know? So it's kind of disappointing at times when my battery ends up dying so fast. But it is what it is. I know what to expect with this beautiful wheel. You know what I mean?